Hello.
And hello, Farmer Josh.
Hello.
Howdy.
Okay, so hopefully this should all be working. Now I've hit the actual go live button, so I don't know if anybody's caught anything prior to that. But yeah, we'll get started in a minute, guys. And first, I'll just dismiss this. What's this? But yeah, so yeah, I need to hit the record button in a second, guys. So I will do that in 1 second. Hey guys, welcome to the Sandro Linux Community Podcast. It is the 23rd of February 2024. So it's a Friday, as it is every time we do this podcast. I know we've missed a few weeks in the prior few weeks, so sorry about that. But yeah, today, hopefully we can make up for it with Piggis here and Farmer Josh. So more people than most times. But hello, Piggis.
Hello.
Hello, Farmer Josh. Okay, so today we're gonna start off by covering the main story here, the headline story that we've gone with. So Google is testing killing the news filter. So on Wednesday, several users reported losing the news filter functionality. And this, of course, confused many users. It's a very used feature on Google. However, they were also, they decided to test out whether they could remove this. And in one case, apparently, they offered an AI-powered overview for this search. And yeah, I think this could be the future with search. More AI integration. Of course, not everybody wants that on their search engine. And there, of course, will be some opposition to increased use of AI within search. But of course, with Google, you'll most likely, if you're looking something up on Google, hopefully you don't care about people looking at what queries that you're looking up, because they most likely, Google most likely are keeping a track of that. So yeah, so really adding AI to the equation, not sure whether it would be too bad. Although, of course, there is the possibility of manipulation when it comes to news, like news stories and potential bias. Do you guys have any thoughts on this this story, guys?
Why use Yandex?
You use Yandex. Well, did you hear a few weeks ago we had a story about that? Yandex is actually pulling out of the Russian market. So I wonder what that will I wonder what kind of effect that will have on the actual search engine. Did you hear about that?
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
No, let me look that up again just to check that I am getting this 100% correct, guys. Because it was a bit of a shocking story, to be honest. But yeah, they are apparently selling off the assets of Yandex in Russia. So here's the story again, guys. Hopefully you saw this in the previous week, but Yandex's parent company is set apparently to sell off Russian operations for half of the market value. Half, is it half of their market value or half of the market value they would expect? Okay, so apparently it's half of the company's overall value. Okay. But yeah, so of course that's a lot because Yandex is very big in Russia. Of course, it was one of their main bases. However, there is now apparently a company based out of the Netherlands that is operating the Yandex parent company. And of course, the business situation in Russia is not particularly good for businesses. Of course, it's not the best market right now. So, of course, them exiting the Russian market could help them avoid stuff like sanctions for being involved with Russia. And, of course, business-wise, this could make a lot of sense. But yeah, Russia was their main market. Do you have any thoughts, anybody? I don't remember there being much, I don't think Piggis had many thoughts on this in a previous week, but, I wonder what your thoughts are, Farmer Josh.
First I'm hearing of it, like I said, I thought Russia was their only market. So
Yeah, most of their stuff is in Russia. I mean, if you look at it, a lot of their applications are, exclusive to Russia. They have all the taxi stuff, the self-driving cars they test out in Moscow, all sorts of stuff. And yeah, they were really based in Russia for quite a long time. So it's strange seeing them pull out of that market. Anyway, moving. I think they'll probably continue a bit with the other Eastern European countries, but apparently they are just pulling out of Russia now. So that's interesting. Anyway, that's a previous week's story, so why don't we get back to this week's stuff? So here's an AI story. So of course, most weeks we have AI news. There's really been a lot of it recently. It's the latest acronym. I mean, there was NFT. Look, you see, I was trying to remember this. There was NFTs. There was, of course, but yeah. So do you remember? John on the community podcast, Farmer Josh. Do you remember him?
oh, vaguely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember he theorized what the the future, the next crypto acronym would be? I forget what it was, and quite frankly, it didn't come true. But I don't remember what he theorized again.
Too many days ago, and I did a lot of drinking during those. So
Yeah. So maybe you don't remember that one. Neither does Piggis. So I guess I'll just have to look back through the archives of the videos, just through the different videos, just to try and find that one. Or I could just not, given that would take a lot of time. Anyway, let's talk about this story, guys. Let's not get sidetracked. So this is a story coming from MIT here. So it's from MIT News. There is apparently a new machine learning algorithm, a new AI model, that identifies drugs that shouldn't be taken together. And now, of course, there are some pretty obvious drugs that you shouldn't take together. But, of course, there's so many different drugs these days, it's quite hard to tell which ones you can take with other drugs and which ones you can't. And, of course, sometimes it's if it's to do with the effectiveness, which this is trying to this is actually trying to moderate for, like, if it interferes with the effectiveness of the drugs, then that's the main criteria. But of course, there are, like, side effects you can get from taking multiple different drugs at the same time. And yeah, overall, there's a lot of stuff with drugs which, you just have to watch out for. But it's interesting to see them try and use an AI model for this kind of stuff. I could see it going slightly wrong, potentially, if it, like, if it said that, two different, if it said, like, two drugs were incompatible when they actually weren't. However, of course, this is being moderated by the researchers, so this isn't just pure AI. So, really, this could be helpful for the researchers to determine which drugs work together. So that's a positive for science, I guess. But anyway, do you have any thoughts, Piggis?
Mm-hmm.
So you agree with the general sentiment then? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So why don't we move on to the next story here? So this is a bit of an AI story, a bit of an Android one as well. So Microsoft SwiftKey on Android is being rebranded to Bing Chat. No, what am I talking about? So in SwiftKey, Bing Chat is being rebranded to Copilot, and it is also enabling GPT-4 Turbo. So now this is an update you could expect them doing to their app. However, it does show that they're trying to roll out AI functionality and the new Copilot brand throughout all of the Microsoft applications. So no matter what app you're using in the Microsoft ecosystem, you still do get the Copilot experience. And of course, maybe in the future, we may view this as another of Microsoft's failings when it comes to not being able to actually capitalize when it comes to, increasing their market share and actually gaining the market long term. So staying, competitive. However, maybe this is different this time. Maybe it's not going to be like Cortana and Windows 8 and Connect and Edge. Maybe Edge isn't a total failure, but it's not exactly the comeback against Google Chrome that Microsoft could have hoped for. Of course, with the original browser engine, that didn't work, and now with Chromium, it's working slightly better. But of course, in general, Microsoft is now known for having products which, they've kind of failed to modernize in a direction that consumers want. And of course, that does prevent them from capitalizing on like new markets. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Piggott? I mean, it's Microsoft trying again to kind of stick with the times. Like they've been quite involved with AI stuff. They're quite a big investor in OpenAI. So of course we can expect to see this, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Lex to Nebworth. So I disbelieve everything. Clearly all fictional. Yes, that's a Lex statement there. So hello Lex. But yeah. Anyway, do you have any thoughts on this, Piggers? Any more?
No.
Cool. Why don't we move on to a different AI story here? So this is also one that's kind of affecting Android. Yeah. But it is also affecting other platforms. So if you use Google Assistant, it could be kind of having a bit of a branding change here. And of course, Gemini is a much different assistant to the regular Google Assistant. And yeah, so apparently they are going to be replacing Google Assistant with Gemini, but only in certain countries. So right now it's only for English, Japanese, and Korean speaking markets. And this is a opt-in rollout. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts on this, Piggith? I mean, this is a much
Google
improved.
Assistant is a kind of boring name, so
Yeah, Gemini's a lot more interesting. Although Google Assistant does kind of sum up what the assistant does, I suppose. But of course, Gemini is a lot more capable than Google Assistant. That's kind of a last gen, kind of like a previous attempt at a kind of chat AI, I suppose. And of course,
yeah.
it's only very basic, so yeah. I suppose it makes sense for them to replace it with something like Gemini. Anyway, unless you have any more thoughts, Piggis, why don't we move on to the Android stories?
Mm-hmm.
So, Signal have they're rolling out a cool new update, in my opinion. So they're now going to let you actually choose a username. So now you will no longer have to expose your phone number to people you're speaking with on Signal, although you will still need a phone number to sign up for the service. And this has been a long time coming. People have been asking for this feature for quite a while, and now they are finally adding it. So if you want to talk with people you potentially don't fully trust, you don't really want to give your full phone number, then this could be a cool feature. And of course, yeah, you will still need to share this your phone number with Signal. However, that is not really too much of a problem, because even if you care about, the FBI subpoenaing Signal or something like that, generally the data that they give to the like the police and such is not particularly detailed, given it gives I think it gives timestamp of when you signed up and last connected, and your phone number. So that isn't really too much data. So if you care about that, you probably have bigger things to worry about than usernames here. And yeah, but of course, this is just a nice feature, and it makes sense to roll it out with Signal. Do you have any thoughts, Piers?
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's great that they finally do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite nice to see them finally roll out this feature after talking about it for a while. Now, I should note, before we finish this story, that it is currently only in the beta build of the app. However, of course, this will just come over to the and to the stable release sometime in the future, so it isn't that far off now. Now let's move on to the other Android story. So if you're in the US, this affects you. So apparently Google is sunsetting the Google Pay app in the US. So previously, of course, Google Pay was the main name for the payment app. However, they have slowly been moving over to the broader Google Wallet brand, and of course that does more represent the fact that they do allow you to use stuff like loyalty cards and other stuff, and metro passes and tickets and such forth. So it's good to see them making the branding slightly clearer here. However, of course, previously it was Android Pay. It then became Google Pay, and now it's Google Wallet. So of course, Google are not exactly the biggest. They're not exactly the most well known for keeping to brands and not shutting down products. However, apparently they will be keeping Google Pay around, at least for now, in Singapore and India. So, of course, it is just confusing having this convoluted thing of having both Google Pay and Wallet. So it makes sense for them to get rid of the inferior product. Anyway, I think that's a self-explanatory story. Do you have any thoughts, Piggis? You probably don't, but yeah.
No.
Okay, so let's move on to some gaming news here. So this is good news. If you are a fan of PC VR and you're also a fan of that new PlayStation VR, so apparently the PSVR 2 might soon be getting support for PC. So apparently the PlayStation blog says that they are going to they're currently testing the ability for PSVR to players to access additional games on PC, and that they hope that support is available in 2024. So of course, if you are a PC VR player, this is good news. This support is clearly not that far off. Although, of course, 2024 is still, we're only really at the start of the year, so it could come at any time throughout this year. But hopefully for the PC VR fans, it is sooner rather than later. Any thoughts about this, Pigus? I know you don't really own any sort of VR or anything like that, and I don't think this will be supporting Linux, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but I still think it's cool to see Sony doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I did not know they promised this when they. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah, it's cool to see more support for VR platforms on different platforms, because of course, if you have that high-end gaming PC, you've got like a 4090, then of course you don't really want to have to play it only with your PS5 and only with the VR headset. You kind of want to be able to use your more powerful machine with this great headset, and now you will soon gain the ability to. Hopefully if they continue with this development. Okay, so let's move on to some broadband and cellular news. One story I wanted to cover this week, something that apparently even affected Farmer Josh's family. So of course Farmer Josh is off doing something else. So apparently he's dealing with some family visit or something. So good for him. But yeah, so here is this story though. So AT&T apparently have said that the nationwide cellular outage was caused by a software update and not a cyber attack. So of course, if you are an AT&T customer, you probably noticed this outage. So many Americans were affected by this outage, and it did only affect certain customers. Some were still able to use the network. For example, Farmer Josh could actually access the network. So that's good for those users that could. However, some people couldn't, so that is pretty bad for AT&T customers. However, it is apparently not the result of a cyber attack, so that is good news for AT&T, its customers, and I guess even national security. Because apparently the FBI and Homeland Security are yet to comment on this matter. So we don't really have any confirmation from them that it isn't a cyber attack. But we can probably take AT&T's word for this, at least for now, unless another report comes out that contradicts this report. You have any thoughts, Pigus?
Mhm.
It's pretty bad having a network outage. I mean, how many network outages have there been in Sweden recently? Any major ones, or has the telecoms been relatively stable in Sweden?
Like the cellular network has been pretty good, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any like big
Then
carrier?
some on the like fiber front, there has been a company that has had a lot of trouble sometimes, which
Which
cause a
company?
lot of Telia.
Telia. Okay. Are they one of the bigger players in the broadband
Yeah.
space? Are they like the biggest? Okay, so are they like
I
basically?
think they're pretty good, like big in business realms, at least.
I'm gonna try not to get this horribly wrong, and I'll look up Telia. Okay, so yeah, so they're quite a big company. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so anyway, let's not get too sidetracked here, guys. Let's actually cover some of the desktop news. So now Computex is of course quite a big conference for the PC world, and apparently AMD, the AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su apparently opened up the keynote at the conference, the first keynote. So that is pretty interesting. That AMD is leading here, I suppose, in the Computex, and of course, AMD is a very big company, so it makes sense for them to have a decent presence at such events. Now, of course, it will be interesting to follow this conference. However, we don't really have too many details from it yet, but it'll be cool to see some of the stuff that comes from this. Have you been following Computex at all, Pigus?
No.
Yeah, I'm not personally, I don't really follow the CPU news too much. I do follow it a bit. But of course, Computex, quite a big conference for, the general PC stuff. So all the hardware, which is released, and the different platforms, of course, for the different components. And yeah, it'll be cool to see if there's any new stuff released from AMD. Of course, maybe some new CPUs, who knows, but of course that is stuff that I think CPU releases often come in the October months, like the fall, I suppose, if you want to say that. What is the usual release window for CPUs, would you say, Pickers?
You ask me?
I don't know. Maybe you follow the CPU news quite intently. I don't know.
Nah.
Oh, okay. So maybe that was yeah. Okay, so I think they often, yeah. I'm not sure how much stuff will be released at this conference, but yeah. So hopefully we see some new AMD products. But yeah. We'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. Anyway, guys, sorry about that, Pigus. Anyway, guys, into the miscellaneous news, some of the unusual stories. Not unusual, but, stuff we couldn't really categorize into these specific categories, which are usually fixed week on week. Sometimes a bit of variation, but, we sometimes... we usually keep it fixed. However, sometimes there are some movements in news patterns. Anyway, so everyone apparently believed. I don't think everybody did. I think this is, everyone. Okay, no. So some people believed in the Gmail hoax because Google can't stop killing products. Says Android Police. So of course, Google are infamous when it comes to just killing Google. Killing different projects which they started. Of course, there's Killed by Google. So there's a dedicated website to it even. It is a well-known phenomenon. So you can see all of these different things that they've killed throughout the years. You can just, go through all of these. And yeah, they have killed many products in the past. They're one of the more, I suppose, they're one of the companies that gets rid of their products the fastest when they are no longer seen as viable by the company. And apparently there was a hoax going around saying on August the 1st they would close down Gmail. And of course it is preposterous suggesting such a thing, given the fact that it would probably close down the email accounts of so many individuals that it would just be absolute mayhem. But of course, one day Google will have to shut down Gmail, maybe, one day in the future, but apparently it is not August the 1st.
Yeah.
And of course, Gmail, capitalizing on this here, just saying Gmail is here to stay. That is a quick tweet and one with a simple message which hopefully gets across to people and they don't get captured by this hoax. And, just delete their Google account. Hey, who cares? It's going to be deleted on August the 1st anyway. I may as well just delete my the email account I use everything for. Yeah. Hopefully nobody did that, but who knows, given that some people fell for this hoax.
Yeah, I saw it and just laughed at it.
Yeah, it's like, it is preposterous. I mean, they're not going to just close down in like a couple months. It's like, oh yeah, one of our leading products, we're just going to close it down, even though it's one of the primary things that ties people into the Google ecosystem. And it is something that they would not shut down in about a few months' notice. They would probably say, because they're a company that isn't on the verge of bankruptcy, they would probably say, we'll get rid of it in like 2027 or something like that. That would be more, more believable. But really, this is a bit preposterous. I mean, some people must have believed it, but it is just people spreading jokes, I suppose, on the internet. I suppose somebody got, they did it for the crack, I suppose. There's not really much motive behind this. So that's kind of it with the story. Although it is, hopefully people don't get fooled by it. But of course, it's a part of the never-ending cycle of hoaxes on the internet. Anyway, do you have any library news you want to discuss, Pigus? Anything that you've heard from the library sphere, given you are a board member? Anything?
Yeah, it's been kind of quiet lately.
Yeah, I haven't really seen too much going on around the restructuring efforts.
No.
But hopefully we can get some more kind of traction with that. Hopefully there is some more development with that. But of course it has gone quite quiet with people maybe putting a bit less effort into it. However, of course, Library Inc. is already gone, and now the Foundation has to pick up some of the roles left by Library Inc. But how is that going for the Foundation, Pigus?
Like right now, nothing really has happened. It's a community member who tries to organize things, but we haven't really gotten anywhere.
Which?
We've got a.
I was going to say which community member, just to be specific.
Someone called BJ.
BJ, yes. Okay, anyway, continue.
So the only thing that really has happened is there has been a few votes about where and where and how the foundation should be incorporated.
Yeah, so did Delaware win that one over a foreign jurisdiction to the US?
It was in New Hampshire.
Oh, it's New Hampshire. Okay. I'll check back over that poll. I've not looked at it for a bit, but yeah.
New Hampshire, and the previous vote was about the foundation itself. So the foundation will only handle fiat currencies and won't get involved with the LBC itself.
Okay, so that is, a different approach to things than the Foundation
Mm.
previously took. But who's gonna handle that LBC then?
Well, we'll see.
So, what's the general plan? Like, is there any sort of plan that people have come up with for who will actually handle the remaining LBC, or will it just sit there? Yeah.
I suppose the plan is like to use it for boosting mostly, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but who's gonna? Is it gonna be Cool Guy handling that? Is it gonna
Um,
be somebody else? Given that he's in the US, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how LBC that was previously held by the Foundation would, be kind of change hands to like maybe an individual or something. I'm not really sure with the with the stuff that went on with the U.S. security stuff. How would the Foundation deal with that? Do
well,
you have any clue?
the LBC would most likely stay with the foundation.
So they're not handling LBC, but they are keeping the LBC. Then I suppose is that the
Mm-hmm.
thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So of
They
course.
are on like trading
Mm-hmm.
in the currency.
Yeah. So no trading in the currency, but maybe some using of it in the
Mm.
areas of boosting and other stuff.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, because that, of course, what. Yeah, I can't. I'm not fully, I don't know about the legal, implications of stuff to
Mm.
do with LBC and the Foundation, given it will be incorporated within the US. So that is under, the SEC's jurisdiction. So
Yeah, I think the problem mostly is about giving away LBC and stuff like that.
yeah, so that wasn't, yeah, that isn't going to continue, will it?
Mm. Yeah.
No. Okay. So yeah, um, so what was the winning poll option with the so if the foundation is only for financial stuff, which is what BJ's poll suggests would be the majority community kind of verdict on it. So how would everything else be handled?
Mm.
The poll in the Library Foundation Discord, in the progress bit that
Yeah.
says about do you believe that the library community should incorporate everything for the foundation? Yes, incorporate for fiat or and financial purposes
Mm-hmm.
only. The fiat and financial purposes only won that poll. How does that change the kind of what the foundation made it? No answer. Okay.
I think it's a good question. Ever since they decided to incorporate in New Hampshire, there just really hasn't been much come out on it.
Mm.
It's yeah.
hmm I mean, I could imagine that trying to incorporate in a foreign jurisdiction may also have some challenges, especially with not that many I don't think any of the board members in any of the foreign countries that were actually proposed. I mean,
Which was proposed?
so
I
there
don't.
was Switzerland proposed, Singapore proposed, Malta and St. Kitts and Nevis. So all of those are
what
yeah.
what they run into with foreign jurisdictions is they all just cost so much to put a nonprofit in. Like Switzerland, it was going to end up costing like 50 grand.
Yeah, so that may not be a good solution for the foundation. Um, but of course, yeah, there's a number of jurisdictions. However, of course, they clearly want to keep to certain ones here. I can see most of the options here are mainly low tax and relatively friendly to crypto. The options that were proposed. However, of course, the US won that poll, and yeah, we'll just have to see what comes of the foundation, I suppose.
Mhm.
But yeah, so how much discussion has there been within the board kind of channels, I suppose?
Yeah. Yeah, not that much.
When you say not
It's
that much,
been
do you mean like
kind of quiet.
weekly discussion, daily discussion, monthly discussion? Just a gauge,
Half weekly. Some weeks and some weeks not.
Okay. Okay, so are there regular board meetings currently going on, or is that something that's not currently happening?
Not really. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, so,
I think we
From
had
what I
one
understand
this
from
year.
Ralph, the board was technically
Yeah.
dissolved when the
I mean, yeah,
nonprofit was dissolved.
mm-hmm.
So
But
it's just the admins,
yeah, the kind of, yeah, the unofficial
Mhm.
board, I suppose, but, yeah, not a board, but, people who were involved with the project, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yes, but yeah. So do you know how BJ actually got involved with the project? Because he seemed to come out of nowhere. Many community members may not
Yeah,
have heard
he
of him.
just joined and started chatting and saying, "Now we start doing stuff."
Hmm. Yeah, it's always been the nature of the foundation to just let people just, ascend the ranks very quickly. But
I
yeah.
mean, they don't really have any rank. They just have permission to write in some channels.
Yeah, but clearly BJ has
So,
some influence over the foundation, like as in like
I mean, yeah,
taking some of his ideas, I suppose.
we are, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. So.
But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's open for anyone to discuss and say what they think.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, so that's cool. Of course, it kind of came out of nowhere. You know, he joined and thought, I could help with this, but previously the restructuring efforts were a bit slower paced, and then suddenly it seemed like a lot of stuff was happening at once.
Mhm.
Yeah, did
Yeah,
you see that coming at all
he
or not?
tried pushing for us to be finished by New Year when he just came in.
So he pushing for it to be finished by New Year. So he wanted to kind of
Hmm.
finish up as in, you mean when he first came into the Discord, he wanted to finish it up by this New Year, as in, just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a bit unrealistic, right?
yep,
Hmm.
very.
Yeah. But talking of speaking of BJ, have the board kind of discussed with him in any sort of outside of text chat, maybe like talking on like voice chats and stuff like that? And has he discussed anything at board meetings as well?
We tried getting him on a meeting, but he couldn't.
He couldn't get on the meeting. Okay, so right now
We
BJ.
not, yeah. Mm.
Oh yeah. So I continue what you're saying. You've got a I'm kind of asking the questions here, and you've got the more of the perspective on what's going on the inside, I suppose. But yeah, what were you saying?
I'm not sure he's so interested in joining voice calls.
So yeah, he currently seems quite anonymous in nature. He's not really
Mm.
given any sort of kind of photo of himself or any sort of anything that could identify him. So it is rather unclear who he actually is.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. If he's, how, whether he will actually reveal himself at any point, and of course, he, of course, eventually maybe he might. But what do you think about somebody who's so kind of anonymous, trying to have such a part in the restructuring of the foundation?
I mean,
I mean, we don't really know much about him, aside from what he said, I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say it. I think it's a bit fishy myself, but
Yeah, I was kind of I was leading to that, Farja. It's like it's slightly strange people, turning up and not kind of giving any sort of information about themselves, and trying to play such a major part in the restructuring. I mean, you have got to consider, has this person actually been involved with the project before in any fashion and has now just turned back up?
uh,
I mean, we don't know, do we? Yeah.
I didn't see any welcome backs from anybody when he popped up. So
no.
No, I'm saying, but how would you know that somebody who just turns up isn't somebody who's been here before? Do you see what I mean?
No.
As in, yeah, anyway. I'm not going to get too much into that point because we don't really need to discuss, kind of previous library foundation, I suppose not controversy, but, stuff that happened in the foundation um, with like library nomics and stuff like that. But do you remember anything about that, Farmer Josh? I don't remember. What was the name of the person who was involved with that?
oh man, it wasn't Ralph.
No, it was I forget. He got kicked
I
from
remember
the.
right. His friend.
I remember he got kicked from the. I'm not suggesting that BJ's him, but but still, we don't know who he is. So I suppose that's something that may change or may not change. Do you have any anything that you want to say about these changes in the foundation, Farmer Josh?
No, I think y'all pretty well covered it. I mean, I say, I bet you Ralph is sitting back and thinking, "Damn it, why in the hell did we dissolve the first nonprofit?" You know?
Yeah. I suppose that there's gonna be some. Is there some costs to this reincorporation of the nonprofit? Will this be costing the foundation anything? Do you have any clue, Pigus? With this New Hampshire jurisdiction, I suppose.
I mean, there will be costs, but they aren't like unmanageable.
Mm-hmm. They're not like the costs of incorporating Switzerland or
Hmm.
St. Kitts
Hmm.
and Nevis or whatever.
Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's probably around $1,000 or so total.
Yeah, so that's not unmanageable by any means. So yeah, I think that could be handled, I suppose. But anyway, thinking of other stuff to do with the foundation just before we finish off this show. So how have the foundation projects been going, Pigus? I know there was some stuff in the works. How much can you say about that, if you can? Like,
You mean this thing from months ago?
yes, the stuff that was going on months ago. Can you comment upon that at all?
That's kind of dead
It's kind of dead. Okay, so yeah.
because no one really are interested in doing it right now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we seem to see kind of surges in activity occasionally with the Foundation. So, sometimes people show up and they're like, let's do something with the Foundation, but then it often seems to tail off, I suppose. So,
Mhm.
maybe there'll be more sustained activity in the future. We can hope for that if yeah, we can hope that there will be more activity in the future. But right now, it seems pretty minimal. But going back to just the Foundation in general. Do you think there'll ever be more? Do you think there'll ever be any sort of reincarnation of any of the councils or any of that kind of structure, or is that something that has kind of permanently
The
no longer a thing?
plan,
Mm-hmm.
as I see, is to have something like that.
Okay.
Although we aren't sure how the structure would look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's got to be the consideration about whether the Foundation will be more bare bones in nature, when it comes to just doing certain stuff through the Foundation, and then maybe the community, does stuff elsewhere as well, or whether it will be a more full-on thing, as it previously was, with all of the different hives and, the different kind of, if you weren't in the community at the time, the hives were like different interests, on library. So stuff like developers could talk, creators could talk, people who enjoy gaming could talk, people who were, enjoyed skating could do stuff. Do you think that kind of community stuff could return more? Could there be more of an emphasis on it in the future? Or is that kind of something that should go on elsewhere, outside of the Foundation's channels?
Generally, that is up to the community to create, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
If
so
they
that's
want it, they can create a community.
so that's not going anywhere, as far as we know. Correct?
Well, it's unknown.
Unknown. Okay, unknown is the current status of the future of those communities with the Foundation channels. Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting. It's always good to get a perspective from somebody who's actually on the board. And it's also nice to hear a perspective from somebody who's, people who are not on the board. So, people who don't have to, be careful with what they're saying in case because they're on the board, not on the board anymore, but in such.
It doesn't need to be called a board.
It doesn't have to be called a
It's
board.
not a
Okay,
board.
okay. Who are admins within the Library Foundation Discord server and have involvement in the potential reincorporation of the Library Foundation. Is that a better way of putting it, Pickett?
Sure.
Yes, that maybe sums up, or the involvement of people right now. But yeah, so thank you for answering some of those questions, Piggith. As a resident admin on the Library Foundation Discord anyway, but yeah, so thank you, Farmer Josh, for talking a bit about some of these news stories today, and thank you, Piggis. Thank you all for watching as well. So next week we will of course be covering some other news stories, hopefully. So will you be around next week at all, Farmer Josh, just to let the viewers know?
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I never know.
And that is Farmer Josh. Okay. So thank you guys once again for watching. You can go to sandroalex.com/discord and you can join this Discord so that you can talk in the voice chat. You can also go to my YouTube at sandroalex.com/YouTube. And once again, thank you for watching, and Goodbye and